Are you feeling stuck right now? Maybe you've been trying to reach your goals, but it feels like you're not getting any closer. So, today on English and Chill with my channel, let's talk about the meaning of my new favorite quote. Nothing changes if nothing changes. This is actually from a book called The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. And I recently finished reading this book and loved it. In the story, there is a woman named Nora Seed who is feeling really down on her life. She feels like she made all these mistakes in her past that led her to an unhappy present. So she goes on this journey to explore what could have been different. She visits all these parallel universes where she made slightly different choices at different points in her life. And in each universe, she sees how those choices had an impact on her future. Through this journey, she learns to appreciate her life and the journey that got her to where she is. This quote, "Nothing changes if nothing changes," is such an important lesson from the book. It means that if we want things to be different in our lives, if we want to improve our situation, then we have to do something differently. We have to be willing to make changes, but sometimes it's hard to make changes. Sometimes it feels easier to just stay where we are, even if we're not happy. That's what Nora did for most of the story. She stayed in her current life even though she was unhappy because it felt safer than making a change. But the truth is, staying the same doesn't change anything. If we keep doing the same things over and over again, we're going to keep getting the same result. If we want different results, we need to try something new. How many times have you said to yourself, "I want to learn English better, but I don't know what to do," or "I want to improve my life, but I don't know how"? Well, the first step is to make a change. It might be scary to make that change, but staying the same is scarier. Staying the same means accepting that your life will never change. It means accepting that you won't be able to speak English fluently. It means giving up on your dreams. When I started learning English, I was really scared. I was scared of making mistakes. I was scared of what people would think of me if they heard me speaking, but I knew that if I didn't do something to improve my English, I would always be scared. I would always feel the same way. I would never be able to have a conversation in English. I would never be able to watch an English movie without subtitles. So I decided to make a change. I started taking online classes. I started watching English videos, and I started practicing with native speakers. It was scary at first, but it was worth it. Every time I practiced, I got a little bit better. Every time I spoke, I felt a little bit more confident. It's the same with everything in life. If you want to achieve a goal, you have to do something differently. You have to take action. One thing I love about the story of Nora in the Midnight Library is that she doesn't have to make these huge, dramatic changes in order to see a difference in her life. Sometimes the smallest changes make the biggest difference. For example, in one universe, Nora makes the simple decision to get out of bed one morning when she was feeling depressed. That one decision changes everything in her life. She starts exercising and eating healthier. She reconnects with old friends. She finds a new job, all because she made the small change of getting out of bed that day. Think about the goals you have set for yourself. Is it possible that the smallest changes could have the biggest impact? For example, maybe you want to improve your English speaking skills, but instead of focusing on making one big change, like moving to an English-speaking country, you can focus on making smaller changes, like practicing with a friend for 30 minutes every day. These smaller changes can add up to big results over time. Another thing that really stood out to me in this book is that we can't control everything. Life is full of surprises. No matter how much planning and preparation we do, there will always be things that are out of our control. When I was younger, I used to think that I needed to have everything planned out. I used to think that if I didn't have a perfect plan, then I would fail. But that's just not true. Sometimes the best things in life happen when we least expect them. And sometimes the things we fear the most turn out to be the best things that ever happened to us. In the book, Nora visits a lot of different parallel universes, and she experiences a lot of different possibilities. But no matter what universe she is in, she can't control everything. There are always things that happen that are out of her control. What she can control is how she reacts to those things. She can choose to be happy or sad, hopeful or fearful, kind or angry. Our reaction to what happens to us is the only thing we can truly control. For example, let's say you're studying for an English exam and you don't understand something. You can either choose to feel frustrated and stressed out, or you can choose to feel curious and excited to learn something new. When we choose to focus on the positive, when we choose to focus on what we can control, we give ourselves a better chance of being successful. Now I want to hear from you. What small changes have you made in your life that had a big impact? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Also, I want to give a big shout out to some of our awesome supporters. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. And if you're interested in supporting, go check out the links in the description. One last thing before we go. If you're still here, I just wanted to thank you for joining me on this English journey. It means the world to me that you're here listening to me talk about something I love. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you've learned something new. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. Thanks for joining me on this English journey. I'll see you next time. Bye.